Good afternoon. Welcome to the New York Stadium, Norwich City, here today to face Rotherham United in the Championship, their penultimate game before the World Cup break. It is, of course, bonfire night, so let's hope we see some fireworks from the Canaries tonight. That's the last reference I made to it, I promise. We're going to have the team news in about a minute or so I'm going to bring Paddy in on the basis that I'm probably going to cut across you in a minute, Paddy, but from a team perspective, what are you kind of expecting from Norwich City today? I guess there'll be a lot of focus around Josh Sargent and Dimi Yanulis and what roles they play for Dean Smith's side this afternoon.
Yeah, sorry, I'm distracted here. I won't flip it the other way around, but there's a big screen in the corner. I think Sheffield United might have scored again, mate. You check that while I'm talking, which would be 4-2, which is some statement, given how Burnley have been dominating of late, as Norwich know to their cost. They have. There you go. So the madness of the Championship. Again, I think there was 16 unbeaten. I'm not writing them completely off, but if that's 4-2 and we're into the final quarter at Bramall Lane, not all that far away from where we are here, another South Yorkshire outpost, the New York Stadium, Rotherham. But that's the madness of the Championship. If it goes in Sheffield United's favour, and as a result, for Norwich today, come here, do the business.
Paddy, team news, sorry, I'm going to cut across you. Norwich City line up like this afternoon. Angus Gunn in goal, Aarons, Hanley, Gibson, and Sam McCallum at the back. It will be Hayden and McLean. Sarah and McLean in. Hayden and McLean in midfield, with Sarah, Ramsey, and Sargent behind Tammy Pukki. I'll read that again because I recognise it wasn't abundantly clear. They've made it a lot harder for us now. They don't put it in the formation, so we have to try and work it out as we go. So this is the Norwich City lineup. Angus Gunn in goal, Max Aarons, Grant Hanley, Ben Gibson, and Sam McCallum, the back four. Hayden and McLean, the midfield two, although that could be a free if Sarah was to come into it. Ramsey and Sargent, behind Tammy Pukki up front. The subs bench: Tim Krul, Jordan Hugill, Kieran Dow, Todd Cantwell, Onel Hernandez, Dimi Yanulis, and Liam Gibbs. So there you go, Paddy. I guess that could be a 4-2-3-1. It could be a 4-3-3. Thank you very much. But the big news there from a Norwich City perspective, Josh Sargent returns this afternoon, probably as we expected him to, and it looks to be from the right-hand side.
Yeah, and Kenny McLean back in as well. Just double checking. So Gibbs to the bench. No Byram for Aarons. That's another change. But no Byram on the 18. Is that more fitness-related issues with that man? Time will tell. We'll put that to Dean after the game, obviously. But Sargent fit, Sargent plays. It's as simple as that under this manager. But more intriguingly, as you say, Connor, is where he plays. Is he right-hand side of a three behind the goat, or is he down the middle and then reconfigured that midfield? It tends, to my mind, to feel more like a 2-3. So Hayden, McLean, that protection in front of the back four with Ramsey, Zara and Sargent as the three behind. Touch harsh on Cantwell for me. That's my first thoughts. I don't think he did too much wrong midweek. Certainly against Stoke when he came on, he was very lively. Maybe even a little bit harsh on Gibbs, but we all know what he thinks of Kenny McLean. He's underlined it again in this selection that as soon as he comes back, he held him out because the team had won in his absence against Stoke last Saturday for the midweek game. But one game and straight back in. So I can see the debate already if this result doesn't quite pan out as Dean Smith hopes. But he's paid to make these decisions. He's looked at Rotherham maybe pertinently, who were at Burnley midweek and probably should have won that game. They got done very, 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 very late on. And he's obviously mapped his team around that, you'd like to think, albeit he did say there a few weeks back that 80% of what they do in terms of setup and personnel and preparation is about them. So, we'll see with that. But I don't particularly like to see Cantwell out of the side, if honest. And Gibbs, I think I'd probably take Gibbs over McLean if I'm perfectly honest. So, I'd take issue with those changes. But Sargent back in, I think that needs to happen because whether it's slightly in a more wider position or down the middle, 8 goals this season already in the league. You have to have a player like that in your team because he's capable of scoring the goals at this level. So, if it is the 2-3-1, then Hayden and McLean, very, very experienced streetwise too. And the question mark that remains with Hayden is how long he can go in games now because he's still playing effectively catch up. He's still without a pre-season. You've seen the tank empty quite alarmingly after about 65, 70 minutes in these last few games. Hopefully they're already in control by that stage. But, good to see you, Nulis. Just caught my eye back on the bench. So that's another positive. Maybe that underlines why Barham's dipped out if they are managing this hip issue with him. But fundamentally, I see that. And when we were sat at Carrow Road last Saturday afternoon and the team was dropped for Stoke and you had Cantwell and you had Ramsey and you had Zara, you got a good vibe off that. At least I did anyway. Less so with this lineup. But, time will tell. And if we roll it on, it's 5 o'clock and this Norwich 11 have done the business, then credit to Dean Smith.
Sorry, I was piecing together the Rotherham team. They line up in what I think is a 3-5-2. So they line up like this: Jansen in goal, Harding, Wood and Hall as the back three, Kyoso, Barlaser, Rathbone, Lindsay, Norton, Cuffy make up the five. Obviously 2 wing backs in there with Wiles behind Connor Washington, it looks like. So a 3-5-1-1. Their subs Vickers, Peltier, Humphreys, Adoffin, Ogbene, Kelly and Eves. That's how they line up today. I mean, you touched upon him, Todd Cantwell. I think is maybe the eyebrow raising one, the eyebrow raising omission given his performances. I thought he did enough on Wednesday night, to earn another start here. Gabriel Sara on the flip side probably started quite well, was quite pivotal to what Norwich City did in the opening 20 minutes, but then faded thereafter. What do you make of that decision? Because it does feel very much, probably, given Aaron Ramsey's recent contributions, that it's a case of Gabriel Sara over Todd Cantwell. Probably one of them was going to make way given Josh Sargent comes back in. Is that the right choice for you? Is it the choice that you would have made going into this game this afternoon? And what, I guess, is it an indication perhaps of what sort of game Dean Smith is expecting here today?
No way. I'd have Cantwell in ahead of Zara over the evidence of the last 4 or 5 games in terms of their effectiveness. Pick me up if I'm wrong, but didn't Zara play on the right-hand side midweek and Cantwell on the left? So, if it is the 3, Josh Sargent is going to play on the right, you would think. I know he has operated on the left, but that would seem the logical scenario, in which case he's gone Zara over Cantwell on the left when he started with Cantwell on the left midweek. So, not quite following the logic, but, with the massive asterisk that we're 50 minutes from kick-off and he might have something tactically different to what we're discussing here, and if that's the case, then fair enough. But you can only go on what you've seen from Todd Cantwell in the last 3 or 4 games. I think he's tried to make things happen. He's injected a dynamism, an energy and urgency, all things badly lacking for me going forward with this Norwich team. And for him to drop out again today, he's on the bench, so that leads you to think there isn't a fitness issue. I'll be really intrigued to, A, see how this setup lines up from kick-off, and then maybe B, if it is that, why he's gone with Zara over Cantwell. But, Zara has shown signs that he's getting to the pace of what the Championship's all about. I thought he was fairly anonymous midweek, though, if I'm honest, but then in his defence, he's a left-sided player. I don't think he's one of those inverted types. He doesn't strike me as someone who can operate on the right and cut inside. He looked a little bit lost there, and him and Byram didn't really offer too much down that right, so... Whereas, conversely, I thought McCallum and Cantwell, and we know they're very good friends off the pitch, I thought there was signs that those two down the left-hand side were getting a very nice relationship going, with them without the ball. But, as I say, Dean Smith's paid to make the decisions, and he's gone in a different route tonight. And as I said, the other one for me is McLean. I'm not sure why McLean comes back in for Gibbs alongside Hayden. I'm not one of these who necessarily likes to pile into Kenny McLean and, what does he offer? But on the flip side, I think Liam Gibbs in possession with the ball is a more rounded operator in the middle of that midfield. So if you've got the experience of Hayden and the defensive protection of Hayden, why don't you afford him, somebody who's probably better on the ball than McLean to try and get them through the thirds, try and sort of connect the dots to Sargent on one flank and Zara as it will be on the other, with Ramsey buzzing in and around. Why wouldn't you want Liam Gibbs' passing range? So 2 very interesting calls for me. I don't know what you think, Connor. I'll throw that one back to you.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about how Norwich are going to progress the ball, to be honest, is my immediate thought, particularly given that was an issue enough with Liam Gibbs in the side, and that's not a criticism of Kenny McLean. He just does a very different job, provides an energy which, given the type of game that I think people might expect turning up here today, maybe is in Dean Smith's thinking. But I was with you. I thought Liam Gibbs was pretty good on Wednesday night. It wasn't outstanding, but he was solid enough. I actually felt if there was going to be a change in that area, it might come through Isaac Hayden, who of course is kind of been chucked in the deep end, hasn't he? Really, without a huge amount of training time. But I think Dean Smith probably showing how important he views him to be for Norwich City this year. It wouldn't particularly surprise me if this ended up being a 4-3-3 with Sarah joining the two of them in the midfield, and that's maybe where you get the creativity from. But then we haven't seen the best of Aaron Ramsey, particularly from a wide role. That's come from a 10 position. And as you say, Gabby Sarah did start on the right-hand side on Wednesday night. So I think there's options within there. Some interesting calls. I guess Cantwell will be the big one for people. It feels to me like an attempt to solidify the middle of the pitch. When you look at that and you look at Sargent and McLean and Hayden, Sarah as well, that four, I guess, feels very solid. Maybe for me, an indication of probably what Dean Smith is expecting to face here today. Whether the game transpires in that way or not, though, we shall see. How do you see this one going then, Pad? I think it's always tough when you come to Rotherham at whatever point it is in the season for any team. The manner that they play always makes it a competitive affair. But this is a game I think a lot of Norwich City fans will be looking at and probably looking for 3 points in. Is that fair? And how do you see it going this afternoon?
Before I come on to that, Connor, there's one footnote, and I just double checked. There's no Nunes either, which in terms of the midfield debate, not even on the bench. Again, one Dean will clear up if there is any fitness issue. But if there isn't a fitness issue, you know what a spiral that lad has had from when he first burst on the scene in the summer and looked every inch. The standout summer signing with his quality on the ball, his infectiousness, rubbing off on those around him, the way he was, for fan base who were looking to cling on to something, he was almost the poster boy. And if we're now rolling on to the start of November and he's not even making an 18, more questions than answers. But again, we'll part that one. But, what we can say with certainty is he's not in the 18 today. So we'll get to the bottom of that one as well. In terms of Rotherham, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at their record and, they're one win at home. Yeah, I think I might be squatting here. But just for the purposes of this broadcast, but we'll move on. But one win at home since September the 14th. So, it's not exactly a fortress. And that was Huddersfield 2-1 on October the 15th. They're coming off the back of 2 defeats, 3 defeats in 4. So, as that game continues to my left, I think Sheffield United have scored again, 5-2. That has put the cat firmly amongst the pigeons at the top end of the championship. Dean Smith said it to you on yesterday. This game, you've got Middlesbrough, they need minimum 4, possibly 6, and then you can pause for that World Cup break. I think that's enough to get you into the top 6. And then you've got a month then to reflect, refine, work out what's gone right, what hasn't gone right, and work on things. We were chatting about this on the way up. How many times or opportunities have they had to work at Colney and drill down into things and shape with and without the ball? The reality is they haven't really, because of the relentlessness of the championship schedule. Well, that won't be an excuse once we get past Middlesbrough this time next Saturday. They'll have a full month, but they need to be doing that, I would hope, from a position in the top 6, so that they can come out the traps again quickly and have a real good go running into Christmas, and then we'll see where we are again. But won't be easy. But looking over to my right, I think there's 2,000 plus here again today. It isn't a Paul Warne Rotherham, which was always a very, very harum-scarum, quite a brutalising experience, because his teams were no lover of or respecter of reputations when Norwich used to roll in here. So I'm interested to see what they look like under Matt Taylor. But fundamentally, this is about Norwich. They have to come here, get the result, and then roll it on and get the result next Saturday. And if they get 6 points from these next 2, then I wouldn't say that cures all the ills, but at least it leaves them in a decent position going into that, for me, a very, very pivotal month-long pause where Dean Smith has to finally iron out a lot of these structural issues and the personnel issues. I mean, we've just spent 20, 30 minutes, more or less, questioning why no Cantwell, why McLean, why no Gibbs, where's Nunes? You'd like to think by this stage it's almost a team that's picking itself because the players are performing and within a template that looks like they know what they're doing for this head coach. I don't think we're there yet. So it's getting the job done again today, it feels like. And, I'm going to be optimistic and say 3-1 Norwich. You, Connor?
Yeah, I think Norwich will win here this afternoon. I think it'll be 2-0. But I agree with the points that you made. And it was interesting to hear Dean Smith actually put a points cap on it yesterday. Felt they needed 4 at the very least, and obviously would like 6. But it does really, certainly for me, feel like if they want to go in there with a little bit of the pressure eased, it is going to be 2 wins from these next 2 games that are going to be required. Let's see what we get here today. The away end filling up nicely to my right. 2,000 Norwich City fans in attendance there. There you go. There's the away end. And hopefully they enjoy a grey afternoon in Yorkshire. You can, of course, come and follow it all on the Pinkham Plus app. I'm on the live updates this afternoon. Do come and join me for some debate and obviously to follow this game live. And then we'll have the analysis and reaction after the game. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you soon.